Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 77 of Podcast vs. Enemies, a Destiny Massive Breakdown show. My name is Sink Beer, and I am back with impetus this week as Court is still on vacation up in the Highlands, probably going to be listening to this from a hot tub. So, Court, enjoy the time out there. But the Destiny breakdowns do not stop. We have got some more weapons to talk about this week. Impetus, before we get into that, how have you been? What have you been up to for the past week?
Well, I've been doing a few more Crota's end runs, getting those red borders, unlocking that sweet armor slowly, bit by bit. Some armor that I'm not unlocking bit by bit, though, is the brand new, I guess this past week, ritual armor that is been removed from the Eververse and dropped into playlist completions. I've been playing way too much Iron Banner, and I have gotten one helmet, the Warlock helmet, to drop, and also 0 Monte Carlo catalysts for one reset of Iron Banner. I am not happy right now, I'm going to be honest. These drops are way too stingy. I've gotten a few other weapons to drop, though, that we'll be talking about later on that I am a little happy about, but yeah, man. I just want the Monte Carlo catalyst so bad. Everybody else, it's like I'm outside the restaurant looking in. Everyone's having a delicious meal, and I can't afford to eat anything because apparently I just haven't played enough Crucible. Maybe I need to go into Gambit. That's got to be where it is. Surely it's in Gambit. I just need to play a lot of Gambit for that sweet new Gambit weapon that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. And then that's also where the Monte Carlo catalyst is hiding. That's got to be where it is, right?
Yeah, because I got to tell you, I've been talking with Zavala, and he's not much help either. I think I'm a little ways through into a second reset. I think I just hit my first Vanguard reset the other day, which is great because of that hand cannon, the malediction we were just talking about the other day. But similarly, feel like I'm just watching all my friends have fun while I'm still on the grind for that catalyst. But looking forward to it either way because, man, Fletched Storm with Banner of War and Monte Carlo are already feeling good. That thing's going to get just even better. But not yet. For this week, I also did a few more Crota's end runs, did some more teaching with my buddy Professor. I think I've almost got that Sherpa emblem done for the 10 carries. We'll be doing a few more tonight with the clan. But other than that, I mean, that was honestly pretty much it for the week. I just started a new job this week, so I was pretty intensive. Also downloaded Starfield and Sea of Stars. So it's a hell of a time in gaming and not the ideal time to be starting a new job and going through all that. But I digress. We'll get there eventually with the backlog.
You just love games with stars. You got a theme, buddy.
Yeah, I really do have a type, you know? Before we get into our episode for the week, who do we have to thank?
Oh, we've got some surprising number of people to thank, actually. I want to first shout out our sponsors, of course. Got to give these folks a shout out every episode because they allow us to make more episodes. And these people are, of course, A Modern Viking, Askian Monk, Bryce Aroni, Deacon, I'm K Rose, Moonlight in This Moment. Thank you so much for your support. That means the world. I also want to shout out 3 new patrons. Thank you so much for joining Patreon, guys. And those are Vaderalu, Neodymium, and Apex Cuddler. Love that name. Hope I didn't mispronounce it. Please let me know if I did because it's important to me that I get your names right. Speaking of support and feedback and all that kind of stuff, you can send us feedback directly to any of our socials or via the Destiny Massive Breakdowns Discord server. All kinds of feedback help with the trajectory of the podcast and how we present and break down builds, activities, and so much more in the PvE sandbox for all kinds of Destiny players. Of course, we do want to say thank you to everyone that supports PvE, whether that is downloading and listening to the show, discussing it on social media in our Discord server, or of course supporting us via Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, if you'd like to support the show, please visit DestinyMassiveBreakdowns.com and click on the link to Patreon. You will get access to members-only channels in Discord, behind the scenes like episode previews, input on the future of the show, and access to the legendary annual merch drop. All right, Saint, we've kind of hinted at a weapon breakdown. What kinds of weapons are we talking about today?
We are going to be covering the Season 22 ritual weapons And we'll also be hitting on a little bit of a Q&A from the patrons. We've been meaning to do more Q&As over the seasons, but those have just not made the cut for topics or whatever reason. We were just moving on early into new seasons or getting previews. So we're going to be integrating a little bit more Q&A every couple of episodes here and trying to keep the topics varied as we go. Before we get into that, though, there is one thing I wanted to hit on real quick as just a bit of a housekeeping topic, and that is fusion rifle damage, fusion rifle DPS. This has been a big discussion ever since we, saw I believe it was controlled burst showing up on loaded question first, and then just some changes. That's kind of become the meta. If you're running tractor cannon or something like that, or even a rocket, a fusion rifle is become the dominant backup weapon meta. And some really interesting info here that we got from Mr. Rock DC and D2 Damage Generator, thanks to him and Mayix. Our findings essentially are that rapid fire frames have the best single mag DPS by a 0.5% or something like that over control burst high impacts, but the reserve, total reserve DPS is worse by about 11%, and the total damage output is worse by about 25%. So they feel pretty good, and they are pretty good within their early DPS, but they do fall off a little bit when you get into a much longer DPS phase. So the shorter the phase, the less ammo you're going through, the better those rapid fires are. And the best those might also feel something that we've been talking about whenever you are trying to, you're fighting against a wizard major, you want to use some special ammo, that rapid fire is probably going to feel a little bit better. Adaptives, Techie and Force are kind of in between there. Slightly higher total damage with going through all of your reserves than the rapid fire, but again, not as good as those high impacts with the controlled burst. And then the really surprising one, the kind of kicker on all this, was that all of these high impacts, Nox Perennial, Eremite, Loaded Question, all really good top DPS options, but there is something out there that can be better in the right scenario. It is Midas Reckoning with Field Prep and Enhanced Surrounded, which is a ridiculously high damage buff. I want to say that is 42% or 45%, right? On the enhanced version of that, it's ridiculously high, and it is enough to beat out the other options, these other high impacts, by about 33% more total damage and 10% higher total mag DPS over the full phase, and 25% higher single mag DPS. So if you are in a situation where you are able to proc Surrounded, Midas Reckoning from King's Fall is just strictly the highest damage, highest DPS, highest total damage output, highest single mag DPS, just across the board. It's stellar. And this is another reason I wanted to bring this up, is because the Surrounded Bequest has become increasingly popular in the Oryx, just general DPS meta. So whether you are a tractor cannon guy and you are helping teammates to set up for this, Midas Reckoning is going to be the go-to here. Now, you're playing an LFG team, you're not super sure you're going to be able to proc Surrounded on your sword or your fusion rifle. One of those other high impacts with Control Burst, Eremite, Nox Perennial, Loaded Question are definitely going to serve you well in that category, because without it, you're getting no, damage increase whatsoever on your Midas, kind of that all or nothing there. But yeah, really, really surprising to see that there's a forgotten fusion that's really being slept on here. And I mean, I'm interested to see if this will bubble up in the meta at all, given again how popular that Surrounded Bequest has become in the Crota's boss fight meta specifically.
Yeah, Surrounded it's very high risk, high reward. I'm trying to think of the scenarios where that would work. I think Crota, for me personally, I don't think I could commit to a Surrounded Crota weapon, but Death Singer, I mean, they run right into the well whenever you're doing damage. Maybe it's not Midas Reckoning that you're using, but if you wanted to go linear right on her with a div user, you could do what's the one that does that we got from Root of Nightmares? I'm already forgetting the name of that. Contempt.
Briars?
Yeah, Contempt. With that gets surrounded. I mean, you could absolutely proc that. And although Death Singer, I think, isn't quite the challenge to kill now out of contest that she was in contest for some folks, myself included. Yeah, surrounded, man. It's a fun one. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves talking about Crota strats already, but and I know
Yeah,
Court's not
yeah.
going to care for it because he wanted to get in there. But yeah, we're just thinking about these things because it does matter, and it's important to know what roles to go for on some of these weapons. Of course, Midas is craftable, so maybe if you don't have that yet, you can go get it. And then if you have it crafted with something else, just swap it out, man. No worries. All right, shall we get into the ritual weapons? All 9 ritual weapons, our 3 playlists, the 2 Iron Banner, the 2 Nightfall, the 2 Trials options.
Yeah, we got a lot here. Let's jump right into it. Does you want to start us off with this SMG here?
Yes, we are talking about Unending Tempest. This is our Stasis Precision Frame SMG, 600 RPM. I will say kind of right off the bat here, none of these weapons are craftable. They do all drop from various playlists. This one is your basic Crucible drop here, and they do all come with multiple origin traits. The precision frame, of course, just means it has extra vertical recoil. Base here for Unending Tempest is 85, so you do not need to worry about touching that at all. That is going to be nice and up and down for you here, nice and vertical. Origin traits for Unending Tempest are One Quiet Moment. That's our Crucible focused one here. Grants increased reload speed when out of combat. That's about 40 reload speed and a 0.95 times reload duration multiplier while you're out of combat. That means you have not dealt or received damage within the last 5 seconds. Going to be pretty nice here, but the other one I think is the one that we're all kind of interested in. Nadir Focus is the second origin trait. This is a Nadir weapon. Sustained fire increases accuracy and range. We are still working on the numbers for that. I don't believe I haven't seen any numbers, at least for this origin trait. I could have missed it though, but precisions typically do have range as their highest stat, so that would be quite nice to kind of push this thing out a little bit further for PvE, even though there's, for some folks, maybe they want to prioritize a few other weapons, but range is still a good one to have in PvE as it is in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
When we're looking at our archetype peers comparing the stats, we do have actually one other Stasis Precision Frame SMG, Forensic Nightmare, all the way back from the Throne World back in Witch Queen. Good news is, Unending Tempest is better in all stats compared to Forensic Nightmare, except Airborne Effectiveness. So if you are going for an improved Forensic Nightmare, which I think a lot of us are for PvE, it was not a very good option, but it was craftable, so you did have access to the full perk pool. Unending Tempest definitely will beat it out in the perks, but it also does beat it out in the stat department as well. So that makes your choice hopefully a little bit easier here. And let's start talking about some of these perks. Column 1 are barrels, column 2 are magazines here. Precisions have high range, okay stability, and then typically low handling, low reload speed. So for me, I do want to get that handling up. Again, there are a lot of perks that can help with handling, but I do want to make it feel a little bit snappier. So fluted barrel is going to be my option. If you do want to work on range and stability, if you've got a roll to maybe drop with something like Frenzy, for example, and you know that your reload speed and your handling are going to be set once that perk procs, I think small bore would be a good option. You really just want to focus on range. There's, of course, a few barrels there. I think Hammer Forge would be quite nice. And there's also range options in column 2. You've got Accurize rounds in there. That's the only range one, actually. We don't have Ricochet or armor piercing there. Yeah, it looks like just steady rounds and armor piercing. So Accurize is going to be your option there, really, if you want to go for more range as well. I'm personally leaning towards Tac Mag. I guess if you don't get a good reload perk, you could go Flared Magwell if you want to. But for me, I think Tac Mag would probably be the best option. Alloy Mag, I'll settle for Alloy Mag. It wouldn't be the end of the world for me personally. But again, this is the Crucible playlist weapon. It's got a ton of perks in column 3 and 4. If you really do want to put in some Crucible rep resets to get those extra perks dropping, statistically, you're probably going to come away with something that can really help you on your reload speed here. And let's get into some of those perks. So starting in column 3 here, obviously we're not going to break down all those perks. We'd be here forever, but right at the top, Demolitionist is probably going to be number 1 for a lot of people. I do see Perpetual Motion. That's also very popular for a run and gun playstyle. Subsistence, definitely a distant, low priority option here on a primary weapon, especially in the end game. Not as easy to proc. You don't get as many bullets back for typically the number of bullets that you need to kill enemies. As far as non-reload perks showing up in column 3, I do see under over. I've always asked for under over to be in column 3 more often, so it's nice to see that here on Unknitting Tempest. Am I actually going to go for it? Well, compared to something like demo, probably not, but it's fine. It does the job. It's nice to at least see that the weapons team is putting under over in column 3, but yeah, I think for me at least, demo is definitely going to be the top column 3 option. Saint, is there anything in column 3 else that you wanna recommend? Anything that you're eyeing here?
Yeah, it is good to see under over there. Not really considering this a strong anti-barrier champion weapon, but hey, if that were to become the case, that would be great. The only other things I'm seeing in here is I'm seeing gut shot straight, which is a really interesting trait when it comes to PvE. You're getting that 10% increase in damage, and keep in mind that the negatives from gut shot straight just got toned down a little bit. It got a buff. So the aim assist cone shrinking is not quite as bad as it was, basically. So it's not as punishing as it used to be. And then you also have enlightened action, right? The new trait from this season, which I think pairs well with weapons that, especially in this case, you're going to be able to easily get those sacks up really quickly. Could be nice if you're not able to land a certain trait in the final column that may or may not put your reload and handling stats all the way up to 100.
Yeah, that's a good shutout on gut shot straight. Again, this being a stasis weapon, I'm obviously thinking of precision kills and looking for headstone, which is in column 4, and you would not want to pair a headstone with the gut shot straight, as those two perks function off of different priorities entirely. But for some of the other damage perks, the many excellent damage perks in column 4, gut shot would be quite nice for a little double damage action here. And for those damage perks, we'll again start right at the top here. Adrenaline Junkie, excellent pairing with demo, also with gut shot straight, of course. You got collective action, one of our newer perks here. That's going to be great. Again, this works on all elemental pickups, but if you did want to run Unknitting Tempest on a stasis subclass, you should have a quite easy time of generating stasis shards to proc that collective action. I've already mentioned Headstone. It's here. We finally do have a primary weapon with demo. Headstone, I've been waiting for that combination for some time now, and it's finally here. And of course, it's in the Crucible playlist, so I guess I'm just going to have to get good, right?
Just get to grinding.
It's a grind. And we do also have Frenzy. We have another demo Frenzy combo. I did land that roll actually while I was grinding out Iron Banner. I've yet to fire it, but I've got it, and I am very excited about that. That's what I have on my Unforgiven SMG that I love so much.
Nice,
And then, of course, to round things out, it's kind of maybe saving some of the best for last year, we've got Surrounded and Target Lock. So this is definitely an SMG for both PvE and PvP players. There's a lot of PvP perks I did not mention, but yeah, Target Lock is in here, which is kind of straddles both sides of the sandbox. Surrounded, of course, just that classic SMG damage perk. No threat detector in column 3, though, which is probably the one thing holding this back from being a crazy good must-have SMG. But yeah, there are a lot of combinations here. Anything in particular that you're chasing that I haven't talked about? Anything that you, looking at those damage perks, that you want to pair with Gut Shot Straight or Enlightened Action, Saint?
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to be going after a gut shot and frenzy, just because double damage perks outside of raids is like so rare, right? Usually raid weapons are the only ones that get access to that, and gut shot's been getting a little more, spread around a little bit more in that third column, which is good to see. If I'm not going with frenzy, I would love demo frenzy. I'm a little jealous, but I haven't been grinding Iron Banner, so I don't really have a ton of room to stand on that. If I'm not going with frenzy, if I'm going, with a headstone or collective action in the final column, I would be really happy with demo or with enlightened action, honestly. So I'm just gonna, see what I can get with these 12x12, perk pools. My mindset a lot is, these are 3 or 4 combos I would like to get. We'll see how close we can get to that doing a couple Crucible resets in the season, So hopefully a gut shot frenzy, hopefully a demo, plus headstone or collective action, something like that would be a lot of fun. And to your point, stasis shards proccing for that collective action really seems like a pretty an easy to sustain loop, right?
Certainly.
Yeah.
I've just been thinking that
solid.
gut shot straight target lock. I mean, you don't even need to aim for the head.
Mm,
You're just going to be getting damage for hitting a target. That would be a very forgiving roll if you do struggle with precision hits in general, and especially on larger targets too that even don't have crit spots. I mean, that would be a really solid double
yeah,
damage option. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good
very
shout
true.
out.
Solid start off the bat here. I mean, stats solid, perks solid. You know what?
Absolutely. Surely it can't get worse on the very next gun, right, Saint?
Well, that's tough because we got a sniper rifle, and snipers, as we have talked about a lot, are just not something that are seen a lot outside of a few exceptions in anti-champion work, damage rotations for DPS. Just you're not really going to use them for ad clear. They're just still kind of in a weird spot. Grenade launchers, wave frames, slug shotguns, pellet shotguns, fusion rifles are all have their places in PVE.
Yep.
Except for snipers, they're still just kind of sitting out there on the back porch waiting for their time. And unfortunately, this is not an exception to that state of the meta. We are talking about the I believe it is the Luna Regolith 3. Is I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is one of the new playlist weapon for the Strike playlist Vanguard Ops. It is a solar aggressive frame sniper, 72 RPM, and it has Vanguard's Vindication as well as our new wild card Origin trait, which is fun. Another one of the few weapons to show up from I believe that's Cassioid, right?
Yep.
Yep, not Cassioid, Cassoid. This thing has, I mean, its stats are just also not good. Pretty much worse than the Long Walk or the Last Foray in the stats that you would care about, which is a little disappointing. It is a playlist weapon, but as we just saw, with Tempest, that doesn't necessarily dictate a ton. They can be fine. They can be, kind of in the lower steps there. And unfortunately, this thing is already starting off in kind of a weak archetype where you only see one or two weapons that are going to be used in the sandbox at all. And it doesn't really get much better from there. You could probably start off with something like a fluted barrel to take that 25 handling up to a 40 handling. That's definitely going to help with the feel there. Get that stability up to 27 points. And then on the mag side, I'm thinking, depending on the traits that you're going to go with in column 3, we got some ammo related traits here. You could go appended mag. You could go flared magwell, and then maybe even alloy. Alloy does give that 0.85 reload duration scaler, 15% increased scaler, essentially your reload time, which is really nice. If you don't want to just go with flared magwell, but yeah, appended I think is the only one, or extended, but not really interested in the penalties from extended, when appended would get you up to 4. And then when we move over into the third column, I mean, there are a lot of traits here that I would consider pretty solid. There are a few that I think are showing up for the first time here in a sniper rifle, especially heel clip. We also have shoot to loot on here. I think that shoot to loot on a special weapon is like a kind of a bait perk. I don't know. What do you think? Would you ever use a shoot to loot on a special weapon?
I mean, maybe a wave frame. Well, actually,
okay,
no. Would that even pick up on the wave, or would it be on the bullet? I don't know actually how that would work. I'm just trying to think of something that I could quickly pick up a bunch of bricks at once, and the wave frame came to mind there. But yeah, I don't know if that would actually go the way that I think it would. Yeah,
it's just primary weapon perk, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. You don't want to waste special ammo trying to pick up special ammo.
Right? Yeah, I'm like, I just does not connect for me.
Trace rifle. There you go. That's sorry.
Okay.
I'm
totally
forgetting about that. I think there's only one trace rifle that gets shoot to loot, but that's the obvious pickup there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Retrace Path, but you can't even get it anymore.
Correct.
I don't think.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a shame too. Anyways, okay, we're getting sidetracked here. Going back to the Luna Regolith here, our strike bladeless weapon. In the third column, we also have Clown Cartridge, Field Prep, Triple Tap, a heel clip, like we said, some of their various handling and accuracy focused traits for the Crucible. And then in the final column, you've got cascade point, high ground, explosive payload, collective action, the precision instrument, new trait from this season, incandescent, firing line, even box breathing. There is no shortage of pretty strong traits here. It's just hard to even want to push forward with something like, field prepper, clown, and firing line when there just doesn't really seem to be a lot of usage for it in the sandbox these days. Is there any copy of this, any version of this thing that could get you to hold on to it or to throw it in the vault?
What I was trying to look up, because I can't quite remember the math on this, is what magazine type gets you to that number 4 in the mag, because it currently has 3. I couldn't remember if TAC does that. I don't think TAC gets
I want to say
you...
it's just appended.
Yeah, appended and extended. So
extended,
in that case,
yeah.
you're either looking at a huge hurt to your reload speed or just appended mag, which just gives you the +4 and nothing else to your stats, which is fine. And I have a few aggressives in my vault that just have appended mag. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're so far away from a sniper rifle meta. I truly have not given this weapon a lot of thought. I would think maybe like triple tap firing line. Triple tap firing line, field prep firing line. Nothing really can change. There's no version of a 5 out of 5 of this gun that really changes my opinion or would make me use it. It would just be neat. I hit the RNG jackpot here. And then that would probably either get dismantled because I already have plenty of good sniper rifles, or it would go into the vault along with all the other sniper rifles. So
yeah, I'm feeling pretty similarly. It's just weird seeing like incandescent on here or something like demo that, incandescent's designed to work off getting a lot of small kills, right? And chaining those between enemies. You maybe would use a rapid fire sniper to kill some smaller enemies. No shot you're going to be using a high impact to shoot a red bar, right? So stuff like that just seems really out of place, even though something like heel clip incandescent is a really cool combo of perks. It's just not quite in the right spot for it. Yeah, maybe if precision instrument had different stacks on different weapons, that could be interesting. But yeah, I'm just not really sure. Luna just not quite there. Even though triple tap and precision instrument or firing line are interesting, it just doesn't quite close the deal there because of the meta that we're in.
Yeah, low handling, low reload speed, not a fun time. You got to really sell me on it. And so for this to be not even off meta, but just straight up not meta, miss me with the aggressive frame solar sniper drops. I guess you could probably also miss me with our next weapon as well, although I don't feel too strongly with this one because it at least does have an interesting combination here. Sure. We're moving over to Gambit, and this is this one I truly have no idea how to pronounce. The Qua Zafen 5, I believe is how I pronounce that. They gotta stop making these crazy names. This is getting ridiculous. This is our Avoid High Impact Frame machine gun firing at 360 RPM. Of course, high impacts do have that frame bonus where they are a little bit more accurate when you're ADS and either stationary or moving very slowly. Origin traits here are going to be Gun and Run and Wild Card. I think I'm probably going to have to go Wild Card because it's just too fun making all those little... I was certainly seeing a lot of Wild Card action in Iron Banner. Let me tell you, that was freaking me out. Running around a corner and being like, who is shooting Telesto bolts all over the place? I haven't even heard the gun. And it's like, oh no, that's just the Origin trait making these little fizzlers, little sparklers.
Those things hurt in the Crucible? How many, this sort of things
they're on the ground for such a long time, you can run right over. Like, I would notice them, run over them, and then I wouldn't really have to worry about it. So if I did ever die to it, I certainly didn't tell. But, maybe for our AI enemies that we have to fight, thankfully, in PvE, they'll be more of a nuisance. Oh man, so we have quite a few high impact frame machine guns to compare this to. I believe this is our only void high impact frame, so do with that information what you will, but we're going to be comparing this to Quillam's Terminus, Terminus Horizon, Fixed Odds, the newly reprised The Swarm. And again, because this is a playlist weapon, there's not a lot of nice things to say about the stats. It is pretty terrible. Nothing that really stands out. It's not even tied for best with another one. It's just worse. It loses out to one of the other ones in each of those major categories there. So, again, we're not expecting a statistical outlier. Well, I say that unending tempest apparently got to be the they picked the best straw there, and everything else just gets to suck for the playlist weapons. So, do with that what you will. Let's get into our barrels and mags here. Again, high impacts, a lot of range, a lot of impact, low stability, low handling, low reload speed. We can work on the reload speed a little bit with, and handling to an extent with some of our perks here. So what do we have for stability? If you struggle with stability, you've got polygonal for a plus 10. That takes you all the way up to 30 stability on the Quasi-Fon 5. If you want to go fluted, of course, that will help out your handling a little bit. You'll be at 25 stability, but 49 handling. I probably would go there. I mean, let's see, recoil direction's 85, so I really don't even, arrowhead would honestly feel like a waste, because at that point I'm really just benefiting from a plus 10 handling, which is still nice, but I'd like a little bit more. Chambered compensator, I don't want to hurt the handling, but it would be, yeah, that's still, I would consider it a waste. Yeah, it's really just going to be fluted and maybe, yeah, just fluted. We recommend that the most, and there's a reason for it. A lot of weapons just have lower stability, lower handling, and you're not necessarily guaranteed a perk that can, in columns 3 or 4, that can help with those stats. So, fluted barrel. Now, we do have the rounds perks in here. No accurize this time. Not that I would need it with a 65 range. That's going to be more than enough for me in PvE. If you want to go ricochet, though, get a lot of stability and a little range. If you wanted to just touch stability. Oh, we don't even have steady rounds. Never mind. Yeah, you're going to have to go flared magwell if you want to help with your stability there in column 2. That does also give you, yeah, that takes reload speed up to 50. That would be nice there. But again, I'm kind of looking at a few of our perks in column 3. We do have some good reload perks here. So it's your choice, of course. Again, I say it's your choice. You don't have a choice over these, so you're going to have to kind of take what you get. But it's just things to be aware of here. Let's move over to column 3 because I do want to talk about some of our reload options. You do have field prep. That is huge for the reserves, and of course that is what makes machine guns really excel in the heavy slot. Is that you can start using your special weapons for more damage stuff, right? Using a fusion rifle or using one of our mini exotic specials that do great boss damage. Having field prep is so huge for that. More reserves, and then of course getting that slightly faster reload when you're crouching. Beyond that, clown cartridge would be kind of a fun one. That could take your magazine up to 65 if D2 Foundry is correct there. That would be a lot of fun bullets. But really the one perk here that I'm really chasing that could potentially have a lot of an effect would be triple tap in column 3. That, if you're able to line up the precision shots there, you are going to be set for life. That is a lot. The base magazine is 43, by the way, so you would be proccing triple tap a lot. Again, assuming you can hit all those precision hits consistently, you could be firing this for a long time. And with that high impact stat, you're going to be putting out a lot of damage. And you're also going to be putting out a lot of damage based on your damage perks. Here we do have destabilizing rounds in column 4 for a little ad clear. We also have target lock. That's kind of the one I would be really interested in, is having a triple tap target lock high impact machine gun. Yeah. I don't know how often I'll be able to get the full ramp up and consistent triple tap procking, but if in a world where there's a very large enemy with a very easy to hit crit spot, you could put up a pretty big damage ramp up and then keep that going for some time there, and that, I mean, you'd be able to chew through quite a few things, right, Saint?
Oh yeah, it's you need a bit of a long damage phase, but that thing could really crank up there. Now, keep in mind, like we were talking about, we were talking about target lock. Target lock goes up to 40%, right? So you could be hitting just some crazy damage on the end of that magazine there. And this is one of the things that we criticize some of the other machine guns we reviewed recently for, is not having any really strong ammo perk like triple tap, right? So really nice to see this thing not only have something like a clown cartridge, which is pretty good, maybe giving you up to 50 percent mag, so you were talking 60s ish, maybe up to 70 max mag size, and then triple tap, which is even better with the way that it's granting you ammo. Really solid there. If you want to just chunk down, maybe you got a little div action on some overload champions, and you want to chunk them down. I'm sure that could be pretty good. Yeah, and we got a lot of good damage traits in this fourth column too, that are inheriting, Dragonfly, right?
Yes.
Rampage, Adrenaline Junkie, even Frenzy, which, Field Prep, because of all those reload benefits and the ammo benefits. I mean, Field Prep is just nutty good for machine guns, right here, just like Impetus is saying. And it's going to give you such an advantage on your reload speed, all the way up to like 85 reload just for crouching, and that 20% scaler that the benefit from Frenzy falls off a little bit there, and it loses a little bit of its allure, even though you would still only be at about 50 handling, so you would really feel that there. But yeah, man, I think at this point, if I could get one of these with Field Prep and any one of the good, any of these damage perks, I'd probably hold on to that, or that rare, that coveted triple tap and target lock. Even in that case, you could go with a big mag and appended or extended to really, really lean all the way in on that. But I think I'm going to try.
My understanding was that target lock gets affected by your magazine perks. So
that's true.
You don't want a larger mag, right? You want to keep it kind of at the level that you're at, because that gets you to 100% at a more consistent level. Whereas like Clown Cartridge doesn't actually change it, because that's separate from, that doesn't tweak your base magazine. That just adds on calculating from your base magazine.
You're totally right that you want ammo traits, not mag options. Because it will change the calculations. Good, that's a good catch there. I forgot about that. So honestly, yeah, you can say with your ricochet or high cal or whatever have you.
Yeah. I think we have overload machine gun in the artifact this season. I do think a triple tap target lock option would be pretty good for GMs. Where really you've got 45 minutes. There's no there aren't proper damage phases for a lot of those final bosses. There's just periods where they're not immune, and that's when you damage them. And then it's mostly just juggling your revives and the other really difficult enemies. I think this could really shine there. For dungeons and raids, of course, you're probably going to want something that puts out a little bit more burst comparatively speaking here. Something that ramps up to severe damage a lot quicker than a triple tap target lock machine gun would. So, yeah, I mean, there's a role there. If you want to try and go for that one combo, you want to go play a bunch of Gambit for that, be my guest. I don't know if I can bring myself to do that, but again, the Monte Carlo Catalyst is hiding behind a triple tap target lock, zap and 5, then call me dredging, baby. I'm going in.
Drifter's hold down on us right now, and I just feel it, man. I just
son of a
know
bitch.
it.
I knew it. All right, let's move over to Iron Banner.
I was gonna say we've got some better weapons coming down the line here, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. We're gonna kick things off at Iron Banner with the Point of the Stag. This is a old, I don't know, kind of like not ritual weapon, not pinnacle weapon, but kind of like your curated activity weapons, like your malediction last week. What did we call that thing?
We had called that like the ritual weapon. Was point? What was the word they used? Oh, pursuit, right? That was what pursuit, like mountaintop was, or something like that. Yeah. Was there a quest for Point of the Stag? I can't remember. This is before my time.
Yeah, and I think this is they made and then subsequently immediately regretted making the true pinnacle weapons. And then this was when they came back and they're like, oh, well, let's just make some really good weapons that have really strong curated perk sets that don't have micro missile on them or arms master like recluse and all that stuff. So this thing is a precision arc frame bow for those of you who never got one back in the day, and it has Skulking Wolf and Wild Card on it. So a lot of Cassoid weapons coming out here, which is really interesting to see. And the stats are also pretty nice to see. It's got 68 accuracy, second highest behind a Crude Redemption from Garden. 40 stability, which is kind of in the middle. The highest is Raconteur at 48. At 56 handling, which again is highest next to Raconteur. So really solid weapon here when it comes to this edge, which not super surprising to see, considering back where it started from. Just off the bat, looking at our strings and arrowheads, I think that it is hard to ignore elastic string for that negative 72. I believe that's milliseconds for draw time, and that does also come with a negative 10 to your accuracy and a plus 5 to handling, but we can balance that out a little bit with something like a straight fletching if you're lucky to land that in your arrows. That is going to just immediately give you that accuracy back, so you're left with nothing but positives and a nice decrease in your draw time. There's a few other ones, maybe compact arrow shaft is giving handling and reload speed, and you also have something like polymer string, which is giving you plus 5 accuracy and a decrease, but only half the decrease, a 36 decrease in your draw time, which is also not a bad option at all. Now we have this perk pool here. There used to just be two traits in each column, and it's been updated and changed. Now we've got 6 different traits in each column. Imtis, what is catching your attention here in columns 3 and 4 for Point of the Stag? I think one of these is going to be a pretty easy choice.
Yeah, column 3 is pretty much locked down for me, although I do have to shout out Elemental Capacitor. That does not show up in column 3 very often. So, let's see, on a bow here, I got to play with the different effects. Yeah, I mean, don't really need extra stability from playing on Void. Arc giving that 50 handling. You're already sitting in a high handling, so that would take you up to 100. Reload speed on a bow, I don't think I would need that as much playing on Solar. Definitely don't care about airborne effectiveness playing on Strand. Stasis, the recoil direction. I'm going to be honest, I forgot bows had recoil direction, so that's, definitely, okay, so not Elemental Capacitor, but thankfully we've got Archer's Tempo. That makes that one pretty easy for me there in column 3. Column 4, though, I'm not sure about column 4. I don't know, dude. What are you... See, I see Swashbuckler in there, and then we did have Pugilist in column 3, but that's, I know, a combo that, of course, our Crucible players are going crazy for the Swashbuckler times 5 one taps, which I definitely died to quite a few times in Iron Banner. I don't know. Is there something else there? I mean, this is a very good column 4, right? Take out Eye of the Storm, and you're left with some really excellent PvE options here. Do you see something that in particular you're really drawn to? I mean... Golden Tricorn strong, Dragonfly strong, Vorpal strong.
Yeah, I think that I've got Vorpal on my old version of it. I think the old one had Vorpal and Eye of the Storm maybe in the column 4. Swashbuckler definitely jumps out, like you said, for those, you get a melee kill, you can just one-shot somebody in the Crucible. It's a lot of fun. I can't ignore that. I want Precision Instrument really to be good, but the only problem with that is... in the Crucible, it can't even get up to a one-tap, even at 6 stacks, which is pretty disappointing, in my opinion, considering you would be required to rapidly hit 6 crits in a row, which is quite the ask for a bow. In PvE, that's a little bit better, or it's a little bit easier to kind of just passively get this damage buff going. It's going from a 4% to about 25% over that 6-stack period. So... I do like that. There's no explosive arrowhead here, so we kind of have that as your Archer's Tempo, get that 0.75 draw time scaler on there, which is really nice, and then Precision Instrument is going to stay active for a little bit longer on a bow as well. It's about 2 seconds instead of a second and a quarter, which is nice. So I think that would probably be my go-to combo, Archer's Tempo and Precision Instrument. As just kind of like your general conservative play, sitting in the back with the bow, and then Golden Tricorn is a little bit is obviously stronger. They can get up to double the buff. I think I like Golden Tricorn on slightly more close range weapons though, because if I'm playing in PvE and I'm using a bow, I'm probably not going to be playing as close. Just my usual style or what I know I gravitate towards, but by all means. Even in PvE, where you're playing from a distance, Golden Tricorn is still super solid. You could proc that with a grenade easy. But yeah, I think this is going to be my most targeted weapon for precision instrument, just because of it's a little more forgiving on the bows, right? Having that 2-second window instead of a second and a quarter, which is just too slow on some other weapons. Not quite as interested in when they have better damage traits to offer. But yeah, precision instrument really piques me for the new Point of the Stag set.
Yeah, so it's statistically better than like Wolf Tone Draw, which is the last arc precision frame that we had, and that did roll something like Archer's Tempo Frenzy, Archer's Tempo Demo, and that was another option, or Archer's Tempo Dragonfly, which is what Point can also roll. So I don't know. For me, I think it all kind of comes down to if you really want an arc precision frame, this would probably be your best option if you didn't have a Wolf Tone Draw, or if you don't really care. Of course, you could go with an arc lightweight option, and we do have that craftable one, which the name's escaping me. Let me go find it in my vaults from Seraph. Oh, what is that? The surfboard.
Tripwire Canary.
Yeah, there it is. That one is what I've kind of been resorting to as my arc bow of choice here. But again, yeah, precisions do hit harder. It's your call, but Tripwire gets the really fun role of Dragonfly Explosive Head, which is what I put on mine. So I don't know. I like that one a little bit more. The double damage perks just are too big of a sell for me over just kind of your standard Archer's Tempo plus damage perk option here for the point.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that pretty much does it for the bow. Nice to see it come back. Especially weapons like this that only had such a limited trait set, right?
For sure. I don't know if we would say limited trait set was the real problem with our next Iron Banner weapon. There were a lot of problems, and there might still be some problems. But yes, our second Iron Banner weapon is the Guiding Sight. This used to be a kinetic high-impact frame scout rifle. It is now a strand high-impact frame scout rifle. It is also a Nadir weapon, too. So I guess the Iron Lords and Nadir are made a deal to juice this thing back, and it does have some sweet perks, but it's in a weird spot. So you got Skulking, Wolf, and Nadir focus here. Nadir makes a lot of sense for an origin trait to put on a scout rifle: sustained fire, more accuracy, more range. Of course, right? The natural pairing there. Of course, the weapon with a lot of range. You want that. Compared to our archetype peers, this is, of course, our first strand high-impact scout rifle. So we now have one of each of these scout rifle subfamilies represented in strand, which is nice. But I will have to compare it to some kinetic and then energy scout rifles here in Transfiguration, Pointed Inquiry, and Percy's D. Guiding Sight has 65 range, which is the lowest of those archetype peers. 24 stability is the highest, though. Everything else is at 22, and 36 reload speed, which is the highest compared to those other three. So it is holding its own against Transfiguration, a raid scout rifle, raid weapon. And then also Pointed Inquiry, which is craftable, and then Percy's D, which has been in the World League for a long time and has a truly cracked out perk pool for PvE as well. Multiple different god rolls of that weapon. And I know Banshees, of course, sold some of those god rolls multiple weeks over the past year and a half now. So it's got some stiff competition, but it's holding its own on the stat side, which is a welcome surprise here. Moving on to the barrels and magazines, high impact frame again. A lot of range, don't really need to touch that, especially not on a scout rifle. Low stability, low handling, low reload speed. This is one of those ones where I definitely want handling. I'm good on the stability. For me, at least that 150 RPM is slow enough that I can really line up precision shots even if I'm taking fire while I'm aiming down sights. So I can lead the stability alone. Depending on you, your playstyle, your input method, you may be not able to afford doing that. Again, we've got polygonal, we've got small bore, but really it's just fluted is all I care about. Recoil direction 75, you're good. Don't even need to touch that for me. I think that's got to be high enough for most people at this point. Column 4, you've got the rounds perks. Again, I'm not interested in touching the range, so none of them really stand out to me, and I'm also not interested in touching the stability, so not even Ricochet could really do something for me there. But again, those do have some extra utility, and since scout rifles are a frequent champion stunning weapon due to the artifact, You might
Mm-hmm.
want something especially for armor, barrier champions, something like armor piercing or ricochet could be really nice, high caliber. There is some utility there if you want it, but you definitely don't need it on the statistical side. Light mag would probably, well, no, I'd have to go flared mag. Well, even though I don't need the stability, that bump in reload speed is going to be very helpful for sure. So that would be my number
Yeah.
one option. But if the rounds perks drop, sweet. All right, column 3 here. Again, they tried to give this weapon a real big glow up. They really went for it here. So you've got Enlightened Action. We've got Demolitionist. We've got Perpetual Motion. That one would be a fun one. That's not my playstyle, especially not with the high impact. You'd be going against the frame bonus there of being more accurate when stationary or moving slowly. So I'm kind of surprised they put Perpetual on there. But again, you can overcome that kind of clash with the frame and get those kind of same benefits by moving around if you want. And then of course gut shot straight. So we do have an option for some double damage. And then moving over to column 4, this is a strand weapon, and they did put hatchling on this one. Kept confidence. I'm sorry, buddy. It just wasn't your time. We've also got Adrenaline Junkie, Kill Clip. Not sure how probably not Cascade Point. At least, no, I'm not going Cascade Point. And then Precision Instruments. So some good options, Saint. We've got ourselves a proper strand scout rifle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. High impacts are tough for me. This is I personally wouldn't. I'm not going to chase this, even though there are a lot of roles that I would kill for it.
I think that I'm originally just looking at this and I'm like, oh, Enlightened Action, Demo, Hatchling, Adrenaline Junkie. You could even, Enlightened Action to Precision Instrument if you wanted to lean in that route. Again, with like the new trait. Yeah, but I think even like Enlightened Action and Hatchling is really great. Unfortunately for the guiding sight, there is another strand scout that has entered the loot pool this season, and I'm afraid that it is a bit of a bully, and it's going to be the Fang at Ear Ute, and we're not really gonna. That's all I'm gonna say about that for now. We'll hold off until we do our King's Fall special to really get into that. But
Crota's in. We've already done the King's Fall one.
Sorry. Good Lord. I'm so bad about reading things in front of me and then trying to say what's on my mind when I've got these weapon loot pages pulled up. Anyways, Crota's End episode coming up. We'll talk about Fang of Your Ute and why that thing is making the guiding sight a little less desirable for me in the current sandbox.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't help that Taraxipus, I think a lot of players went for Taraxipus, and that of course, being the lightweight, I think is probably the more popular scout archetype, just with that naturally high handling, higher reload speed, getting hatchling. Again, demo hatchling, awesome combo. Have that on my Rufus Fury, love it to death, won't be changing that out in PvE. It ties in so beautifully with Threat of Generation if you're on a strand subclass. Definitely don't want to discount the synergy there if you really want to build into threadlings and getting more threadling grenades out, but it's just the archetype, man. I hate high impacts. They don't perform well, even looking at damage charts. High impacts have not been good, and they're not gonna be good. Like they got crazy long range. Scout rifles are the best they're probably ever going to be, unfortunately. You've got, let's see, what are we looking at here? 80 meters ADS. You're basically, you got a sniper rifle on your hands right now, but it doesn't hit like a sniper rifle, and you got to really work for that damage boost. So unfortunately, I'm not sure it's worth it. Even though they tried, they really tried. They almost got me to start focusing my Iron Banner engrams for something other than armor.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't want to do Crota's End, you're not doing Crota's End, you missed Taraxipus, get you a demo hatchling or, Enlightened Action and Adrenaline Junkie, right? There are some solid combos here. They're just outshined a little bit by some of these other weapons. Yeah, the Taraxipus, you could get Gutshot Explosive, which was having some weird, unintended perhaps interactions between those two traits, and that thing has already gone out of the pool. But I feel like sometimes they let those event weapons have a little bit more stranger perk combos, new perk combos, right, for their limited time windows. But yeah, not a bad showing. Definitely way better than it was, right?
Yes, yeah, For sure, for sure. And I'm glad you pointed that out about the acquisition method, because the final strand scout rifle that we haven't talked about is Glissando. That's a world drop. That's our precision
Yeah.
frame strand option. Banshee sold the god roll, quote unquote, but that was a fluke, and there's no telling it that'll ever happen again. Everyone's RNG is different when it comes to world drops. So yeah, this is probably the most obtainable to the widest number of Destiny players, but for the hardcore PvE folks, yeah, there's a craftable option waiting in the Crota's End raid. Good call.
Yeah. I was really lucky to get a keep away hatchling on Glissando randomly, and that thing really feels nice, man. I gotta tell you. I think it's gonna get put in the vault again for our not Kingsfall, our Crota's End episode, right? We'll cover that more. Maybe next week, or maybe 78 or 79. I think once Course Pack, we'll probably
coming up. Yep.
Probably jump deep into that. But for now, let's move on. We got a couple. We got a couple Nightfall weapons. We're at Iron Banner. We're into the Nightfall here, and we got another just kind of mixed bag here, right? A peak and a valley, maybe, as some would say. We are going to start off with the Pre-Astyonics 4. Again, hope that I am pronouncing that name correctly. These names are just absolutely wildin' with the Castoid Foundry. Yet again, in addition to the traits that you would expect, origin traits that you would expect from a Nightfall weapon, including Vanguard's Vindication and Stunning Recovery, we have that wild card trait. So tons of options from our new on the table foundries in the playlist loot pools this season, which is cool to see. And it's another 6x6 trait pool similar to the Iron Banner. But before we get into that, we'll talk a little bit about strings and arrows. It's going to be pretty similar story. We were just talking about Point of the Stag just one weapon ago. So I'm still definitely partial to that elastic string and straight fletching combo to get that draw time down as low as possible. But right, polymer string is also a fine option, and there's other arrow options that you could definitely make work. Weirdly, this is a solar precision frame bow. And if we recall back, I believe that this was just last season or the season before. Did we not have another precision solar frame bow in the game?
Last one we got was actually just over a year ago. Season of the Haunted is Strident Whistle, if that's the one you were thinking of.
Man, that was that long ago?
Yeah, time flies, buddy. Last season we had the reprised Tyranny of Heaven, which is lightweight.
Dude, anyways, well, aside from my view of time being completely horrid and distorted and not accurate at all, it's coming into a position of already having a weapon within its same archetype, within its same element in the playlist. Now, also, unfortunately, when we compare it to some of its archetype peers, it has the worst accuracy, stability, and handling of these energy bows. So it's really a strange thing seeing it here show up. Already has a competitor from apparently a year ago, and its stats aren't really great in competition with it. It does have some trait options that mix that up a little bit. Not super different from Point of the Stag, but a few more options there, including, we do have Enlightened Action, and we do have Shoot to Loot in the third column, as well as Archer's Tempo. So kind of your classic there. It does have the staple. We do have the Enlightened Action, the new trait, Shoot to Loot. Interesting trait, as always. I like we were talking about early on in the episode, it's a great utility trait for any primary weapon, pretty much. Fourth column mixes it up a little bit more. Imtis, what would you be using in the fourth column on this bow if you were to, let's say, not have any other solar precision bows in your inventory?
Yeah. Probably Incandescent for the ability synergy. It's just a very flexible, strong perk. Again, Incandescent does inherit the damage that an enemy takes from the Scorch from Incandescent can be increased, but also it does count for your combatant damage scaling, so that's can be really helpful there. And bows are really good for just chunking away at majors, and I do appreciate that a lot. So I'd probably go incandescent just to play it safe. Again, assuming I don't have anything else. We do have collective action. This is our first bow with collective action. There's a unique option there. The tried and true explosive head is back, of course. I think that we'd probably riot if we had an adept precision bow that didn't have explosive head on it, but we do have that here. I think precision instrument is a little too much to ask for on a bow. I know you get 2.1 seconds for that stack to last in between shots, but man, you got to really, I want to line up my precision shot, and I typically do use bows at a long distance, like you said earlier with Point of the Stag. So it can be a little bit tricky depending on how mobile my target is at a distance to really make sure I continue to hit those stacks, those precision shots. So not precision instrument for me, but yeah, it'd probably be, I guess, in order, either explosive head or incandescent with collective action is kind of that backup option.
Yeah. I think that in this case, with explosive head coming up against precision instrument, explosive head is giving you 15% on body, 11%, I believe, on crit, just flat out every time you shoot the weapon. That, you need 3 stacks of precision instrument to get up to 12.5%, kind of like right in the middle there, or 4 stacks to get to 16.67%. So it's pretty hard to make an argument for precision instrument over explosive head, given that it doesn't matter where you hit with explosive head. It's going to do the damage every single time. Doesn't matter if you miss a crit. Doesn't matter the range you're at. It just works.
You know what? I lied. Tyranny of Heaven also has collective action and way more perk combos. So never mind. Priaste Onyx is not the first to get collective action. Man, that's rough.
It is a tough look for this guy, and it's easy to dog on this weapon. It's when I'm sitting here looking at my vault with Archer's Tempo Incandescent Strident Whistle or Archer's Tempo Explosive Payload Strident Whistle, just ready to go, that I've used plenty over the last few seasons, and a newly crafted Tyranny of Heaven from just last season. So, really strange option.
But Saint, they're not
honestly.
Adept. You see, that's where you're
right. Okay, right.
That's where
you're
going wrong, buddy. You got to get that Adept after the name, and that's what matters.
Well, yeah. Am I really gaming? If you don't got a harrowed bow, dude, you ain't got an adept bow over there.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
What am I doing, man? But things take a bit of an uptick with something that was not in the game, in the same playlist, in the same archetype, in the same energy type, just 3 or 4 seasons ago. Something that feels pretty fresh. What's our other Nightfall weapon this season?
Yeah, Warden's Law is finally back in action here and brand new as a heavy burst frame. That is a proper frame for hand cannons now. This is a kinetic option. It is firing at 257 RPM, which is hilarious. And yes, that is actually odd due to the firing delay factoring into the number of shots that you can pop off in a minute. So frame bonus there, just fires a hard-hitting 2-round burst. Nothing, pretty much what it says right on the tin. No need to really test that one out there, do some math. We know exactly how that frame behaves. You do have just Stunning Recovery and Vanguard's Vindication, so no official Foundry here, which does kind of tie into the general aesthetic of Ward's Law being from the Reef in general, and there's no Origin trait for Reef weapons yet. So we've got 56 range, 29 stability, 24 handling, and 27 reload. I am reading those stats off because there's no other heavy burst frame. So we're just trying to get you guys a sense of what to expect should we get more heavy bursts. But right now, this is the only one in the game here. Looks like it's going to have generally a comparable feel to a 120 as far as the handling and reload go, with about slightly less range. But of course, you are putting out 2 bullets to the 1 that a 120 would be firing off. So the trade-off makes a little bit of sense there. But yes, you do kind of the theme for today's episode, I guess, focus on your stability, handling, and reload speed if you can here. Looking at barrels and mags, it's got to be fluted for me here. Range of 56. Let's see, what's our range here on the old about 31 and a half ADS. Yeah, I don't think I'd need to touch the range stat for my liking at least. But yeah, I'll go stability handling, fluted barrel there. Again, we have not actually got to fire this weapon, so it hasn't come around in the rotation of the Nightfall rotation yet as of this episode, so I haven't even gotten to shoot it, and I don't think I've unlocked the original Warden's Law, so I can't even pull it from collection. Oh wait, no, we can't pull it from collections, right? Isn't that what we just found out before we sat down to record, Saint?
Yeah, we were just talking with a couple of the patrons, and somebody had said that they were using an old version of it, and there was a curated version of Warden's Law from back in the day, but I, as the hoarder, deleted that thing a long time ago. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to wait, because you can't just go print one. You can't print the fixed roll from collections, which I will say, I really wish that anytime you had unlocked a curated roll for a weapon like this, that it would just let you pull that from collections, even if there were random rolls as well. So that way you could at least have a version of that in your collections. You didn't have to keep it in your vault, because collections is such a great tool that we could just really use more for weapons, and it could really be such an alleviation for vault space. But that's a little bit more of a meta conversation, if you will.
The most first world of Destiny problems, brother.
Yes,
it is entirely on you to have a full vault, that you can't keep all of your curated rolls for old weapons that a new player like myself didn't even get access to.
Yeah,
anyways,
no, I need a special vault.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh. I got off on this tangent because I was just, it hit me. I don't actually know how this is going to feel with the burst in terms of like stability, right? If I'm trying to aim for a precision kill, or even a precision shot nonetheless. So my gut's going with fluted, but I might pivot over to polygonal if I needed a little bit of a hit to the stability. There is also steady rounds here in column 2, so I guess I could lean into that as well if I wanted to. And accurized rounds is the other round perk here in column 2. We got some great mag options here: appended tack, extended, alloy, and then flared magwell. I'm pretty comfortable with most of those. I think probably besides extended here. It is saying the magazine is 8 in D2 Foundry. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not to what is in game, but as a tiny magazine. So even though I don't want to hurt the reload speed, extended would take that all the way down to 7. That brings the magazine up to 11. Ooh, that's tough. I'd probably go appended mag. Again, D2 is saying that would get me up to 10 bullets in the magazine. You're firing a 2 burst, and they gave it 8 shots. Wow, that is a tiny, tiny magazine. That's 4 trigger pulls, and that's gone. Okay, yeah. I take that back. I might actually go extended. I might go extended or tack or appended. Actually, that might be a priority there. You're going to be doing a lot of reloading, regardless of what option you go with.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. Well, that explains why 4th time's the charm is in column 3 then. I guess that's kind of clicking now of, you do want to, you got to work on that magazine. That is, again, I haven't fired it yet, so I don't know how difficult it's going to be to land those precision hits to ensure that 4th time's the charm actually procs. But again, presumably if you've got a larger crit spot to aim for, that should be nice for a bit of a sustained area. But it seems like this is meant to be a bit more of a burst damage weapon here. So with that in mind, kind of looking at the other options in column 3, again, perpetual motion is going to be nicer. That'll give us some small stat bumps to stability handling and reload speed. We do also have enlightened action. I would probably, let's see here. So you can get, so this is going to be another one we got to test, kind of similar to malediction. Does the double burst of give you 2 stacks of enlightened action?
No, I think
one
this
trigger
one is
pull
more
gives
likely
2?
to work that way. Yeah, because dealing damage improves reload speed and handling. And this is definitively 2 damage instances. Even if you want to say explosive payload is 1, this is definitely, like, there's going to be just barely a time delay in between these 2, like a time payload, right? Mm-hmm. So
it must, because actually, now that I think through it, you're not even going to get to max stacks through 1 bullet.
You couldn't.
Through 1 magazine. Yeah, otherwise. Yeah. The way that the gun functions. Yeah, so with 4 trigger pulls. Yeah, so it has to be, so you will be able to hit max stacks in a single magazine pretty much every single time
Yeah.
there, and with 5 stacks by the time you get through the end of that magazine you'll be looking at 74 handling, 77 reload speed. So that's probably my number one perk there for column 3. I think is going to be certainly a lot easier to really take advantage of over fourth times the charm. Again, fourth times doesn't actually change your reload speed stat at all, so you'd need to get pretty lucky here with I guess flared magwell in column 2, or tack mag really to really work on that reload speed. Yeah, pray to God you don't get extended mag fourth times the charm, because you were going to be shit out of luck there by the time you're at the 0 magazine options with a 7 reload speed. Although I do say that there is frenzy in column 4, so I guess you could work around that, proc frenzy while you're working through fourth times the charm, and at least you'd have 100 reload speed at that point. So maybe maybe if you did end up with extended fourth times and frenzy, you could make all that stuff work. But for me, I think I'd probably rather just go enlightened action frenzy. You do also have some really old damage perks here. We got both kill clip and rampage coming back onwards. Blast from the past there, the old kings of the damage meta there. Vorpal weapon. Vorpal weapon, I think, is probably... if I get one, I want to hold on to it because I do want to see how this gun plays with Lucky Pants on Hunter. I think that could be really interesting. Again, high impact here on the Heavy Burst, 92 impact. So getting that to proc on Lucky Pants with the additional 20% damage buff of Vorpal weapon, you could be really hurting some enemies, big beefy targets there with the hand cannon for some nice chunk damage there. That would be interesting. I'd like that a lot to see if that can all come together consistently. But I think mostly for PvE, it's got to be enlightened action frenzy, right, Saint?
Yeah, I think it's like fun to go with Rampage as the old school, trait that used to show up in this weapon. And I would also be interested in a 4 times the charm frenzy if the recoil is pretty manageable. It does have that recoil direction of 97 off the bat, but yeah, having something like appended mag 4 times and frenzy could really be solid uptime between you're getting bullets back constantly and you're able to max out that reload speed and handling, which definitely needs some help and could allow you to have a barrel or a barrel or a masterwork focusing maybe a little bit of stability, even a stability masterwork with like a small bore or a fluted would be really nice, I think. But yeah, some interesting PvE combos there, and I really hope that Enlightened Action will get 2 stacks per burst, but we do need to do a little verification whenever this finally hits the game, and I think that should be next reset or the reset after that. So
yeah, I think we're due up for both the weapons because they haven't dropped yet from Nightfalls, so they'll probably be back to back right as GMs come out.
So either the 12th in just a few days or the 19th, the week after that, we'll definitely be in there farming out to get a frenzy roll on this or rampage roll on this and see how that's feeling.
You wouldn't happen to be farming for our next weapon by any chance, would you?
I think it just might be enough to get me to stop by St. 14 and to pay him so that I can torture myself. We are, of course, talking about the Trials of Osiris playlist weapons. First up is the return of an incredible weapon known as Igneous Hammer. This is a solar aggressive frame, 120 RPM, back to a more traditional hand cannon here. It has access to Alacrity and One Quiet Moment. Alacrity being your Trials origin trait or just general trait to use when you're in solo play. 20 range, 20 stability, 50 reload speed, and 10 aim assist. Not always the best trait ever, but when it is active, it is an incredibly solid stat boost to what is a already ridiculously good weapon when it comes to its stats. We are talking about some other energy 120 options here. You got combined action, bottom dollar, targeted redaction, and Igneous Hammer is simply better. It has 65 range, highest by 5 points, 35 stability, highest by 7 points, 37 handling, highest by 6 points. And it does lose in a single spot here, and that is 30 reload as opposed to the 32 reload found on combined action. But again, other than the 2 points there, it definitively beats out all of our other options in this category. It is just a ridiculously strong weapon. Taking a look at our barrels and mags, I think that I'd probably go with the polygonal rifling, maybe a small bore here. You could go with the fluted as well if you wanted to take that 37 up to a 52 handling. There are a few other things here that could really help out with handling, though, so there's some other ways around that if you just wanted to focus on stability or stability in range there. We've got all of our rounds options in the second column there. Armor piercing, high cal, and ricochet. I mean, you really can't go wrong with any of those. You don't have tack bag here. You have appended, you have extended, and alloy. Alloy, again, really just gives that scalar when the mag is empty, so depending on the traits you have, it could come into play, but some of your general rounds perks are probably going to be, better off there. We get into the third column. It wasn't enough, with the stats. They had to just absolutely keep cooking on this thing, and from a PvE perspective, I think the definitive jump out here is going to be Heal Clip. This is the new trait that procs when you reload within 5 seconds of a kill. You get a cure, instantaneous cure stack on your character, which I believe is about 60 points of healing, not only to yourself, but also to your nearby allies. Oh my gosh, man. You have a few other traits here, rapid hit, keep away. I think that's pretty much the definitive pick. And, despite the fourth column also being really stacked up here, what do we have in the fourth column that is just going to take Heal Clip to the next level?
Oh, it's going to be Frenzy. I mean, again, the smart thing about Heal Clip that the weapons team did is they put it in column 3 where you have all your traditional reload perks, right? So you have to kind of sacrifice between having something that makes for a faster reload speed or being able to give yourself 60 HP on a kill to you and nearby allies. But with Frenzy being just the most busted, crazy specialist PvE perk in the game, stick that bad boy in column 4, and you've now got yourself a weapon that gives you, when both perks are procced, 100 handling, 100 reload speed, and also 60 HP after you reload with a kill. So, just igneous things, right? just Solar 3.0, weapons, new meta, LOL. Remember when it was Outlaw Rampage, not me. I'm on that Heal Clip Frenzy train now, baby. Oh my goodness. That is, it's insane. There's also Incandescent. I was
gonna say no. You got Golden Tricorn. You have Incandescent, and you also have Precision Instrument on this thing. If you want to, get the new traits going. Precision Instrument is a little. We were talking earlier. We don't talk a lot about the Crucible, but I will mention here at least that you can get Precision Instrument all the way up to about 100 damage on your 6th shot there, and it just keeps stacking up. And I think it would go to 90 damage at about 4 stacks, 93 damage. So you could get some interesting things going there in the Crucible. Golden Tricorn, easy to proc on Solar. Incandescent, always strong, but man, I really do not think you're going to be able to beat that Heal Clip Frenzy combo. You throw the right traits on here, you're looking at 70 range, 65-ish stability, 100 handling, 100 reload speed, and a mag size of 9, and effective range, is over 35 meters. I think 36 meters with a slight bump there. So. Yeah, it's just a crazy strong weapon. Statistically strong, traits strong, unique trait combos. Only problem is you're gonna have to probably spend a chunk of time in that Trials of Osiris playlist when this thing is on the table. But I think that should get a pretty good population going. So even if you're like Impetus and myself and you're not grinding Trials cards every single weekend, maybe it could be a slightly better experience than some other weekends.
It's also worth pointing out, we did just get a change from this last patch where Trials weapons now have a chance to drop at the end of Trials matches, the non-adept variants,
yeah.
of course. So I can't remember. I think it's on a win, or is it just completing a match? I can't remember. But Bungie's trying to make the playlist a little bit more enticing, even in the drops, not even in the weapons, just in the drops. And I think you do need to unlock Igneous first before you can go focus it, right, from Saint 14. So that change should help you on that front. It'll also help you with our final weapon that I'll get to into a second. But yeah, if you've been playing a lot of Iron Banner, consider that practice for surely what is going to be either this coming weekend or the weekend after that Igneous will be making its triumphant return. It's overwhelmingly triumphant return. Goodness sakes, we talk about the weapon like it's got no PvP perks, but yeah, it's got some PvP perks. It still does have the old bangers plus some crazy stuff now. So yeah, this is probably one of the most desirable loot pools of any weapon ever in the game for a primary, and of course one of the best origin traits too for PvE or PvP. So
yeah, I think the crazy part about it is that there's really not many combos of column 3 and 4 traits in here that I wouldn't keep. For either Crucible
somewhere
or for PvE, right? Yeah, your odds of, you 4 out of 5 of these things that are dropping for you are probably going to be usable in one of the 2 sandboxes, which is just nuts.
That is a truly end-game weapon there, and we love to see it. Another in-game weapon, kind of a surprisingly in-game weapon that we have here is the Cataphract GL3. This is a heavy grenade launcher dropping from Trials. Don't click off the episode just yet. I promise. There's actually some interesting things here. We do have this is, let's see, a strand adaptive frame heavy grenade launcher firing at 120 RPM. No frame bonus there, other than the stats are just generally well rounded here. We've got Alacrity, One Quiet Moment, and then this is also an Omalon weapon, so it gets the Omalon fluid dynamics here. Increased reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. I'm going to be honest, looking at that column 3 with the reload perks, I don't think I will need this to be. I think I'll probably be on Alacrity instead. It'll just be, we can take care of the reload speed in plenty of other ways here, so I'm going to go Alacrity for the origin trait on this. Versus our archetype peers, got a lot of adaptives here, some pretty well-known adaptives as well. Regnant, Wendigo, Cry Mutiny, Typhon GL5, Memory Interdict, which is still dropping into my inventory at a far too common rate, but good news is the Cataphract beats them out in every category, and by a good amount. It truly is. It may be an adaptive frame, but it is just actually the best around is what I put in our notes here. It's the best around. Great option. And let's get into the perks, because my goodness, it gets even better when we come to our launches, the launcher barrels in our magazine here. I am very particular to quick launch on both my rocket launchers and my heavy grenade launchers.
Oh yeah.
Adaptive means you can really just pick a stat and work on it. And again, I say that you maybe want to leave blast radius alone depending on what kind of damage perk you want to go for with these kinds of weapons, but quick launch is going to be great there. I would also settle for probably, there's a second one that I normally like. What was it? I think it's volatile. Yeah. Sometimes, depending on what damage perk I go, I like volatile for the increase to blast radius. You do get a tiny hit to velocity and handling, but again, it's an adaptive frame. It's already got pretty good stats in both of those two, so you can afford to kind of tweak those a little bit to really juice the blast radius stat in this case. But when in doubt, go quick launch. Kind of a similar situation in the magazine. When in doubt, Spike is going to be really nice here. Spike grenades is going to be excellent. Sometimes, really for the crafted weapons, I do like to go with alloy casing or augmented drum. That's what I recommended for Regnant, because we could craft Regnant, and that did have explosive light. Enhanced explosive light gives you an extra stack, so you can get that 6 in the magazine up to a 7 magazine with your either alloy casing or augmented drum to really take advantage of having 7 active grenades with explosive light fully procced. So in this case, because we don't have access to enhanced perks, I think Spike is probably the option there. Maybe high velocity is a second follow-up damage option, but again, extra grenades aren't going to hurt you there, so if you do end up with either alloy or augmented kind of as the next best thing, you're still going to be okay. Column 3. I mean, goodness sakes, if you just wanted to like dream up, gun to your head, what's the best possible reload perk options for a heavy grenade launcher? They're all on Cataphract.
We got them.
Yeah, we got them. You got Impulse Amplifier, right? Faster reload, faster projectile velocity. We got the new and even improved Envious Assassin for so many extra. Let's see, what does D2 calculate this as? They're saying you go up to 15.
15? Yeah.
Oh boy, that is a lot of burst damage. We got Field Prep. We got Autoloading Holster. We got Demolitionist. Enlightened Action, honestly, it takes a lot, but Enlightened Action is probably like the least impressive thing here. They also put in Slick Draw.
Which is wild.
Yeah, they put in Slick Draw, but we don't talk about Slick Draw. So Enlightened Action is kind of the worst option here. But yeah, everything else is just kind of like, wow, okay. Your odds of getting a really good Column 3 perk are incredible. So good for that, I guess. Column 4, yeah. Buckle up. We got Explosive Light, kind of a classic. Chain Reaction for ad clear. I don't think people really need heavy grenade launchers for ad clear anymore, especially with the state of machine guns that they're in right now. Although I say that, and of course the perk right below Chain Reaction in D2 Foundry's Hatchling, and that's what Caraxis Distress had, that crazy Chain Reaction hatchling combo, which I did craft. Did I actually fire that weapon a single time after I crafted it?
It's so ridiculous.
I've got zero enemies defeated on that. So that kind of tells you the state of heavy grenade launchers. Not doing too hot here, but this one might change things. After that, you got Full Court. We don't care about Full Court anymore. Vorpal Weapon, kind of your tried and true, but the final one, the real surprise, the one that's got everybody interested, they have finally put Bait and Switch on a heavy grenade launcher here. So with something like Envious Assassin in Column 3, right? Assume you've got 15 in the mag, you've done all your killing with your other weapons, and a Bait and Switch, right? Go through that damage rotation. You're able to damage a boss, hit him with the other 2 weapons. You bring this bad boy out. That first of 15 hits, you proc Bait and Switch for 7 seconds, and then you got 14 Bait and Switch heavy grenade launcher grenades to fire off in very quick succession. I don't have the roll. I haven't seen footage of this. I don't actually know. Oh, it's not 7 seconds. It's 10 seconds. I forgot about that.
It's
yeah,
10.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 11.
Yeah, you have absolutely enough time to get all of them off with Bait and Switch. Wow. You probably have enough time, and then you could do a manual reload, and then probably switch back to your special and primary weapon to reproc Bait and Switch. Oh my goodness, this is burst damage right here. I mean, this is what we talk about. You put up a lot of damage in a very short amount of time here. And again, really, that's just kind of the nature of a heavy grenade launcher with Envious Assassin, but with that 35% damage increase from Bait and Switch procs, that is a lot of damage, and then a lot of bullets with a lot of damage. We're talking 14 is your maximum number there. Then the 15th one being the one that would proc Bait and Switch or go to procking Bait and Switch, depending on the order of your weapon rotation. So, yeah, forget Explosive Light. Don't even worry about that. You cannot get more than 6 stacks of that. So you know, Envious and Explosive Light would just be, you get the first 6 would be great, and then you'd be stuck with 9 regular shots, which could still be okay. But again, we're really talking about burst damage here, talking about a perk that would affect all of your bullets. You've got Vorpal Weapon and Bait and Switch would really be that one option. There is also, I forgot to mention Cascade Point. A lot of people have been wondering about Cascade Point, Envious Assassin for like Hyper Burst. That's only 5. Wait, what is the length here for Cascade Point? I forget.
Oh, like 2.5 seconds?
Oh, it's 2.5. I forgot about that. Yeah, you can. It's ready in 5 seconds, right?
Yeah. You have your window for swapping, right?
I don't know. I haven't gotten any of these, and I know not a lot of people have too many of these because this hasn't come up for the Adept variant yet, but you can unlock it and farm for it at Saint, but we haven't had a lot of weeks of this season to try this yet. So I know some people have been theorizing on paper, but I'm waiting to see some footage and some practice damage rotations. But this could be. It's definitely an outlier. Again, heavy grenade launchers rank really low on the must-get heavy weapon scale for a lot of players here, but this could be one where even with a very small buff to heavy grenade launchers, this could become a top-tier option for some situations. But I don't know, Saint, I've been talking a lot here. What are your thoughts on the old cataphract?
Well, I'm just thinking about how Wendigo with explosive light had this incredible single mag DPS output, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your total damage though would just really fall off if you could potentially have explosive light up on every single shot that you hit with Wendigo, which is I think possible, but just very difficult to do. Your total damage output was pretty good. I think that right there would have put you close to, or at least closer to like some of your rocket launchers with the fuel prep or something like that. But it just could not really compete. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, man, if our explosive light was, I want to say around, this is also an interesting one because explosive light's damage would vary based on your blast radius because on grenade launchers, explosive light only actually affects the explosive damage, not the impact damage, correct?
Yep.
If I'm remembering how this all works correctly, it's very strange. I know that there is some charts out there that we can reference, but now you've got this new GL coming in. It's got bait and switch with a really high percentage buff, and you can just keep it static. Like your ability to just keep that bait and switch up the entire time you shoot off the envious assassin mag is, I feel like, going to be much more, just practical, right? So now it's like you have a weapon that can pretty much hit this theoretical DPS output from a weapon like Wendigo, except it's got envious assassin, so your just quote single mag DPS is even better, and it's actually way easier to hit that total damage or total reserve DPS output. So yeah, I mean, I think that this thing is going to be an absolute beast when it comes to burst damage output with that envious assassin, which got a buff for, I don't know why, but I'm riding that wave still, and if that truly can go up to 15, that'll just be a real easy way to clean shop on some bosses that have lower health. I have no doubt that some of your earlier bosses you're going to be seeing get just absolutely cooked with this thing that don't quite have as much health as some of our newer dungeon and raid bosses.
And, we're saying envious assassin a lot, but don't think that the other options wouldn't be phenomenal. Like,
Sure.
you can still proc autoloading holster during that 10-second window for bait and switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you time it right, hit your primary, your special, then go over to this weapon with a full mag, that first shot goes off, that would leave you with 5 bait and switch shots. Get those off, swap to a different weapon, keep doing damage. You don't need to reproc bait and switch because you'll still have it up. Autoloading holster will proc within 2.5 seconds of stowing, swap back to it. You'd have more than enough time to get those 6 shots off again before the original bait and switch disappears. Totally fine there. Demo, of course, would be even faster. You could just throw a grenade instead of having to swap for the reload proc there. It's totally viable. And the same thing for explosive light. It's not a bad option. I forgot that grenade launchers are different from rocket launchers, where the perk just increases your explosive damage by 60%, which is significant. But again, with something like envious assassin fully active, that's only the first 6. You then got 9 unprocced or unbuffed shots, whereas bait and switch you'd get 35% for all 15. So it's definitely not, it's second best, but again, with a perk like field prep or auto loading or demo, explosive light can still put out great options, and you can get an instant reload to have even more options. They just wouldn't be buffed up with the explosive light levels because you can only cap that at 6. So a lot of options, right? Like bait and switch NBS is the unique combo, the crazy combo, but you've got explosive light, and then you've also got auto loading and demo to really round out what is just going to be a true like champ killer. I know that's not something people really get
Yeah.
excited about anymore, but like mini boss slayer, tormentor destroyer, lucent
Yeah.
hive killer, you know.
Also, I want to say, I'm thinking back on this now, and I want to say grenade launchers are 20 impact and 80 explosive damage split.
Okay.
And that would lead you, depending on, I think the blast radius and some other things affect this, but I think that would put explosive light at like a 40-ish% buff. Depending on a few other factors, which again is incredibly high, but it's like comes down to that idea of what's actually going to play out when you're in a DPS phase, right? And what are you actually going to be able to consistently use within a boss fight like that? But yeah, really, really solid weapon. I think for the Crucible side of it, I can't get over Impulse Amplifier. Just incredibly strong, incredibly fun to use.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
chain reaction would be pretty sweet in there too as well.
Oh yeah.
Go
That's
play
our
Trials.
last weapon. Yeah, go play some Trials, man. Get you an Igneous Hammer and get you a Cataphract GL3 and enjoy the fruits of your labor from grinding out in a tough playlist. Imtis, any closing thoughts on our weapons before we jump into a brief little Q&A to round out the episode?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. Peaks and valleys, man. I think that's kind of just the case with playlist weapons in general. But you got some weapons with adept variants. You're like, why'd they put you in the game? It doesn't really make sense. You're not that strong. And then you get other adept options where you're like, wow, yeah, okay, you're adept. You're desirable loot there. You got surprise ones, right? Unending Tempest being that stat monster and perk monster. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go try it. So,
yeah, I'm really hoping that we get Warden's Law next week, if not the week after. I'm really excited for that one, just because it's something new, right? It's something that has been in the game for a long time, but never been good, and now it finally has a chance. And I'm hoping that will come out on top and will really shine. But yeah, let's jump into some questions from the patrons. We're going to be posting one of these little Q&As over on our Patreon page every couple of episodes going forward. So if you got questions for us, you know where to find us. You know how to hit us up. We'll start off with Old Man Lucid here, and his question was, what is the one weapon in your vault that you will never dismantle, even if it was sunset?
Oh man,
I'll let you start off on this one.
That's a good one. I think I did mention it just briefly a little bit when I was talking about Unending Tempest, but it'd be Unforgiven, the demo frenzy roll. That was what I used on my Starfire Protocol build. Rest in peace. Never forget. It's just been kind of a tried and true option for pretty much. I mean, as a Warlock main, I run grenade builds pretty much all the time, and so demo's one of my most valued perks. But demo frenzy on a great feeling SMG is just unbeatable for me. So. Yeah, even if it was sunset, I'd still, I think, pull it out from time to time just to work on the uptime of my grenades, right? Just to relive the glory days of throwing those bad boys out as fast as humanly possible and shredding enemies in that close to mid range. How about you, Saint?
This is it is a tough time to pick just a singular weapon, but I think for me, it comes down to a couple hand cannons. The one that's probably the least suspected is the Judgment. This is a bit of an off meta option. This is a hand cannon that came from Prophecy, ensemble time payload and demo time payload. I never got the demo Adrenaline Junkie, which I also would have never gotten rid of. But yeah, something like demo and time payload or ensemble and time payload, it is just, it's such an interesting looking weapon. I like the way it sounds. It hits. I don't know. There's nothing statistically superior about it, despite the fact that it's just unique, and I just like it. After that, it would be the similar slot, very close to each other, a Time Lost Fatebringer with the explosive payload frenzy. I don't, grinded a lot for that thing. Actually deleted my first one as part of a charity incentive. Had to go back into the Vault of Glass and grind out more Master Vogue to get another one. So at this point, I'm definitely not parting with that thing. No chance am I gonna delete it.
You and your Fatebringer, man. Goodness sakes.
Dude, we got a special thing going on, man.
I wouldn't dream of getting in between it. Super Say asks, Bungie asks you to delete one weapon type from the game. What's going? One weapon type. That's rough. Now do I say something to really be a jerk, right? Tick people off, or do I go with something I legitimately have a problem with?
Well, no, yeah. What's the bait answer and what's the real answer?
The bait answer is waveframe grenade launchers. Yeah.
That's cruel.
What do I actually want to go? It's funny. I would have probably said heavy grenade launchers, to be honest. I just don't feel like there's much of a role for them that can't be done with some of the other types. I know we just got done praising the crap out of Cataphract, and one of my most used heavy weapons of all time was Anarchy. But yeah, it's just, Anarchy is it's a heavy grenade launcher, but it's the exception to heavy grenade launchers, right? So I don't feel too bad saying that the actual rule of heavy grenade launchers is not one that needs to be really followed too much anymore. If they can make them work, great. But I mean, when's the last time you actually used one in PvE seriously?
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely have used one of those at some point in PvE. Absolutely.
I mean, we all farmed Wendigo and then thought, never doing that again. Fool me once, Bungie.
Yeah, it is tough. It's been a really long time.
What's your type?
I think that when I'm thinking about all of the different archetypes and sub archetypes of weapons, I think that sidearms are kind of crowded, and I think that you could probably get rid of a sidearm archetype with little I don't know, adaptive sidearms. Maybe you could just kind of take those out back and never talk about them again, because well, I mean, not that I don't I think that they're bad, but I'm thinking, okay, I've got lightweights, I've got aggressive burst, I have rapid fires, I have precisions. What is what is an adaptive, other than having a 40-point difference in RPM? I don't really know. Yeah, I just don't see a huge amount of value in there. And then after that, probably lightweight bows, and just keep precision bows. But yeah, I think deleting a SMG or a sidearm archetype, deleting adaptive sidearms would be you could do that, and there'd be people that wouldn't even know that it happened. You know what I'm saying?
Oof. Yeah. If you are a fan of adaptive frame sidearms, please at Saint_Kabir on social media. Let him know how wrong he is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me hear it. Give me that argument for why I need an adaptive sidearm archetype in this game.
You pissed off every peace bond lover in existence for sure, dude. Oh, and Allied Demand. Yeah, it's all the Iron Banner sidearms. Everyone who played Iron Banner with the sidearm, you have an enemy in Saint_Kabir now.
Dude, sorry, man. If you're not it's I'm precision, Suros, rapid fire frame, or aggressive burst, or I don't want to talk, Oh,
jeez.
Man. All right, we got a more in-depth question here. We're going a little bit outside of the game. We're going to try to get to as much of this as we can, but this one's a little deep. Fusion Catalyst asks, since you brought up key switches, which we had mentioned in the topics this week, what switch type you're using? Do you spend time and effort on making sure your PC and your fans are quiet only to get the loudest keyboard imaginable in your LFG fire teams that you have to hear through the mic at every action? And what are your opinion on analog optical switches that would let you actually walk slower with a variable keyboard input, kind of like a joystick on a controller for a controller player? Can we make this a popular option so more games will support the mixed input? He says you don't have to actually waste a bunch of time in this esoteric question here, but we'll give you some quick answers. On the switches, it's got to be red or brown. First of all, I want a deeper switch sound. I don't really like the clicky like blues, right? Audio filtering on Discord is pretty good these days, right? But still somehow you get a teammate that seems like they've just completely manually turned off every level of audio filtering and are just clambering away and also yelling at their dog, and someone is also cooking right behind them somehow where their couch is at. I'm not really sure, but it seems to still happen. And yeah, optical switches, I would say yes. I really do like the optical switch idea. I don't think their adoption rate is high enough. I don't think that they're just popular enough for more people to drive development towards them, though, which is probably what's holding that back. Impetus, any preference on your switches there, bud?
No, not really. I'm not very. I didn't actually know there were different colors of switches. I just picked a loud one when I got my keyboard, and I'm kind of stuck with those. So we're just gonna go with your answer to that. That sounds pretty professional.
All right. The official
informed.
PvE endorsement is red or brown switches. There.
Yeah, sure. Go with it. Yeah, absolutely. Thumbs up for me. Deck asks, what's your favorite build for a powerful altar of summoning? Powerful being the highest tier of altar of summoning. My favorite build is competent teammates, actually. I've noticed that really makes it a lot better. No, I'm joking around.
Strength of the wolf is the pack, huh, dude?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what was I using for when we were doing some earlier powerful? Oh, Sunbracers. I was using Sunbracers just to kind of blanket the field, get some tick damage in there. Yeah, I kind of just leaned into I think to me it seems easier when you have people kind of focus into roles a little bit there. So I was the ad clear role, and then I was running with Court, and I know Court was going, I think, invis, or maybe was he doing arc? Yeah, he was doing arc, and he did have a little bit of invisibility. He was just doing high damage build to focus targets, and then Rock was doing support stuff for us there. Yeah, kind of delineating. I mean, I guess you could all go for kind of a jack of all trades option there, but I do think having a well is certainly going to be nice. Bubble, especially if it's the Shriekers that are giving you a ton of trouble. And then having damage supers, 2 other damage supers can be really nice.
Yeah, I pretty much have 2 that I've been rotating through. So it's, Bonk Hammer Titan, Solar Titan with Soul Invictus, Ring Flames, and then I'm using torches and solace, so radiance, radiant duration, searing for scorched targets, creating fire sprites, and then mercy for that extra restoration, and funnily healing nades, so I can heal myself and my teammates on demand. And that's a lot of healing in that kit, but I'm using syntheseps with this in my bonk hammer, so it's I pretty much have my exotic and my melee are just focused strictly on dealing damage, and then I have a lot of the rest of my kit focused around me getting health back and quick health points back, because it is risky, right, to be playing such a melee focus, such an aggressive build in an activity like this, that you do want a lot on there. And then I've just got radiance pretty much for my damage boost on this kit. If I am going to have teammates overriding with a super or something like that, that's really nice. I would agree with Impetus on the idea that it's really, you're going to have your best success when you kind of divide up into a couple of roles there, at least one person that's focused on damage and one person that is focused more on support. The other build that I really have been liking to run this season is Strand, and I go back and forth on the first aspect. I'm always using Banner of War these days. Sometimes I am using I will use Into the Fray. Sometimes I'll use Fletched Storm. You can use Heart of Immos Light with this. You could still use Synthos with this if you have a strong, let's say you got Monte Carlo and you can be getting that melee back really quick. Using Synthos with this still is really ridiculous, because Fletched Storm will tear things up. And then going into a sword like Lament with Banner of War, and I really like that because not only am I able to heal myself for some of those bosses that you're getting up close to, but if you're playing with a coordinated team, your teammates are right by there with you. They're slaying out, you're getting that Banner of War times 4 up constantly. It's a really great mix of that health generation and that ability to deal some serious chunk damage with Lament if you want that healing, or honestly whatever sword of your choice if you're not so concerned about doubling up on the healing with Banner of War as well as the exotic effect from the sword. You can grab any kind of sword of choice and be able to just do some absolute damage on those bosses.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Bryce has a really original question. Unlimited bacon, but no more games, or games, unlimited games, but no bacon. Pass.
Dude, I'm taking games, man. Like, bacon's fine, but I can get by just fine with some like apple sausage, chicken apple sausage going on in my skillet for my breakfast companion. So, I bacon, I don't want to say overrated, but there's certainly other breakfast alternatives out there that I think are easy take.
Okay.
Next up, we got Lurch. What are your favorite hobbies outside of gaming? And on the Destiny side, if you could make a new weapon type, what would it be? Kind of interesting. We got both sides this question here. Impetus, you go ahead, man.
Very much reading. I like watching movies as well. Listening to both podcasts and audiobooks. Those are fun experiences to kind of take my mind off things, which is, of course, why I also play video games. If I could make a new weapon type, kind of want to say like a good sniper rifle, but I don't even know what a good sniper rifle would look like. Yeah, I don't know what a good weapon type is. It'd be kind of cool to get crossbows. I do think like a bow archetype that leans more into crossbows would be really cool. But yeah, haven't given that one much thought. I'll lean on crossbow. Let's go crossbow. How about you, Saint?
You know, this is a tough question. I really like fusion rifles are such like a Destiny, staple, right? They're kind of like just a very like right in line when you think of Destiny and like its themes. You think of fusion rifles and all that stuff, and we've really had some interesting ones with their like burst patterns. The name of the European one is escaping me right now, but like
Coriolis Force.
Yeah, Coriolis Force. I just like I think about this thing just like I think about Warden's Law. I'm like, man, what an interesting like experiment in fusion rifles that just got kind of left out there as like a little one-off test. And I would love for Coriolis Force to get cranked up in PvE and to see another iteration in that archetype, similar to like we saw Warden's Law, which was also like it's in a very similar boat. It's just kind of like this one-off experiment that now is getting brought back and getting way brought up in the meta. I really would love to see something like Coriolis Force become like a solidified archetype, like Warden's Law seemingly is becoming. And it's hard to say exactly how they could make that better or more usable, but I think that there is a version of that is viable in PvE for like getting waves of like ad clear down because of its spread and hitting like multiple like stats for all, one for all on something like this, or just really going crazy with like incandescent, where traits that are benefiting you from like being up in the mix with a fusion and using it pretty much like a shotgun. So yeah, I would say the horizontal spread Coriolis Force. Let's double down on that guy. And then outside of gaming, past couple years or so, I've started to get a little bit into my own like game development. After working at Bungie, that kind of like piqued my interest there. So I've spent plenty of time recently going through some like pixel art kind of stuff, which has been really interesting. Learning Unity on the side. Outside of that, my wife works for a coffee roaster, so I'm a huge coffee nerd. I love, going around all local cafes, just trying out, any coffee shop that I think even has any potential. I'm going to stop by in town and just like support local. I try to stay pretty active. It's just good for my mind. I find that, and generally I feel a lot healthier mentally, not only physically when I'm outside doing stuff, running, walking. I'll go play pickleball with some friends, whatever it is, just trying to like be active in general. And Yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, after coffee is probably beer. I'm a big time beer guy, which goes really nicely in hand with the running. So those kind of, balance each other out a little
You are
bit.
such a hipster. My goodness,
Dude,
dude.
it's not my fault I'm from Austin, okay? It's just, it's who I am, and I'm
Are you wearing
okay
a
with
beanie
it.
right now? This is the one time we don't have our cameras up. Are you wearing a beanie right now in a
No, it's
flannel?
actually over 90, which is my cutoff for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately I am a stereotype, but I'm okay with that. I know who I am, but you got a pale ale recommendation.
Lordy.
Just hit me up, dude. Hit me up. All right, one last question to round it out for us this week from I'm K Rose. Okay, this is pretty funny. Excluding beverages,
Yep.
obviously at hand. If you could only consume all hot foods or all cold foods for the rest of your life, which one would you choose? Impetus?
I gotta go hot, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's just something. I can't imagine having cold breakfasts day in and day out. I think that
but
would just put me in a bad mood all the time.
think about you couldn't eat just like a sandwich for lunch unless it was toasted. I'm not saying
that would rule out a few sandwiches. I hear you. But
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's other sandwiches you could make work. But yeah, I would. That's like I'd lose a lot of desserts if I only went hot food. I'd lose some really good sandwich options. Let's see what else. Thing is, like, if you go all hot food, you like rule out pasta and a lot of meat. You rule out meats, dude. Like,
no, I can't do that.
You're really.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, you can have cold meat. I know, but like a lot of meat dishes are served hot, and you're ruling out some good ones, right?
Dude, if you're eating cold fish and like cold roasted chicken. Yeah. Maybe just message us real quick and maybe we could talk about how things are going.
That's not sushi. Okay, we've had sushi, I promise.
Yeah, all right.
Like,
yeah.
That's a tough one, though. I mean, you're screwed either way, right?
Right, because it's like either you pick hot food and you get the better food and you're basically just inconvenienced for the rest of your life, but you get to eat the good food, or you pick cold food and it's practical and you can eat easily all the time, but you don't get pasta. You can't get roasted, no roasted chicken, no steaks, right? No fish and chips, dude. I mean, oh man, no curry. No, I'm done. I'm sold. I'm hot foods, man. I can't eat curry.
People definitely are here for a good time, not a long time. Because that's
exactly,
like
dude.
All your salads, like, can't have that. Can't have most fruits unless you have to heat them up first. Like, yeah, you're not living for a while, but you're gonna have a great time for the remaining few years.
If I can't eat pad thai, what's this whole thing about?
Yeah,
okay,
it's a joke, dude.
What's it all about?
That's a great question. Love that one.
Yeah, that was probably toughest question. Okay, Rose. Yeah. That was definitely hardest one.
We'll have to get Court's answers when he gets back.
Yeah. If you want to jump in the Q&A, watch out for notifications over on the Patreon. We'll be posting in the Patrons Lounge. We'll try to be doing a couple topics every couple of weeks, like we said. But I think that is pretty much it for episode 77. We want to thank our audio engineer, Autodidaktos, for helping us sound our best every single episode. My name is Sink Beer. You can find me by that name over on social media or hanging out in the Massive Breakdowns Discord. Impetus, where can our listeners find you?
My name is Impetus. You can find me by that name in Discord and in Destiny. Of course, do want to shout out our third host who's not here with us because he's on vacation, Court. You can find him at Court Projects on various social media platforms, where he will have links to all sorts of Destiny resources, his spreadsheets, also the work of a lot of other fantastic Destiny scientists. He's got a link tree specifically that you'll want to look for on his social media profiles. So again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.